Bladder and Louis C.K. are just the latest in a long and growing line of high-profile individuals publicly accused of sexual misconduct in the wake of the allegations against Harvey Weinstein. The flood of accusations has opened up a national discussion on sexual harassment and sexual assault. For more on these developments, we are joined by Dr. Gail Saltz. She is a clinical associate professor of psychiatry at New York Presbyterian Hospital. Good morning.
Good morning.
Gail, we have seen a seismic shift in the landscape around sexual assault and sexual harassment. What do you make of it?
I think what people have to understand is that this is about power. This is not about sex. This is about powerful people, men and women, but mostly men, because they're mostly in positions of power, going after vulnerable young victims who are in junior positions who cannot necessarily say something about it. And this is about humiliation and shame. And people have stayed quiet because it is humiliating. That's the point of it. It is to make the person feel shamed and even potentially guilty, as if maybe did I do something here, which is why it's so difficult to speak out, why it's taken years for often women to say something, and why it's taken a crowd to break the ice, to make this a watershed moment, to not feel alone. Oh, usually victims feel very alone. If you don't feel alone, you feel like maybe I can say something now.
When you talk about shame, is there not some shame that the predators themselves feel? When you look at the Louis C.K. and the Harvey Weinstein allegations, there seems to be almost self-loathing behavior in some of those instances.
You know, there may be insecurity behind which, you know, connotes sort of a narcissism, like I am insecure and the only way I can feel more powerful, which I need to feel,
right,
is to exert this upon someone else, to humiliate and shame them, to make them less than me, to push them down, to control them, to prove that I am the most powerful to myself. And so psychologically, that may be what's going on. Whether these people have any insight into what they did and why they did that, and therefore feel any personal shame, you know, I don't know. Sometimes people have sociopathy involved with this, and they really don't have empathy for others, truly. That's like a chip missing, and they truly feel the most important thing is gratifying themselves and feeling that they're the most powerful.
To your points about power, Gail, the actress Britt Marling, and she's a director as well, wrote a piece in The Atlantic basically saying the root of all this was actually economic disparity between men and women that creates a power disparity that allows this abuse to occur. You agree with that?
I do think there's a point there, absolutely. I do think that if we had many more women in power, I'm not saying this would be gone, because women can do this to women, men have done this to men, et cetera. But since the predominance is men doing it to women, and predominantly men are in power, I do think that if there were a more equal playing field, you would see less of this, but it wouldn't be gone. I think what people have to understand is this is not men versus women. This is powerful people taking advantage of and harassing younger, junior, vulnerable people. This is sort of bullying on steroids, if you will. And that is a phenomenon of human nature, to sometimes be sadistic, to sometimes take, and in this case, unfortunately, erotic pleasure in being sadistic and cruel and suppressing someone else. That's a piece of what's going on. It's not sex per se, but they may get a charge out of it from that vantage point.
Do you worry about a backlash here, given the number of allegations?
I am hearing from some men saying, well, hey, if this is about men, then maybe I can't hire women, or maybe I can't be alone in an office with a woman. And frankly, that is a defensive cop-out. Something in the system needs to change. We need to have reporting systems that are different. Parents need to educate sons and daughters about this issue. And to say, well, defensively, then I'm not going to hire women will only make the problem worse. We need to change education and the system coming up.
Dr. Gail Saltz, thank you so much for being with us.